Wow. I have to be honest, you guys, I was not expecting this loss today after that big win against Spurs not even that long ago. Big win in which we tactically outclassed and outmastered Tottenham. I really thought we'd take that confidence from that big win into the following game against Southampton. And you're thinking, with how bad our home form's been this season, this was the perfect game to build some form again and make Stamford Bridge the fortress it used to be. But wow, we lost today. And I have to say that the performance today just wasn't good enough. Not only from the players, but for me personally, also from the manager. Now, I do want to give you guys a very quick disclaimer, because I know that a lot of people will be feeling quite angry at players, especially at certain figures like your Hudson-Odois, your Emersons, and of course, they can justifiably be criticised today. But there is a fine line between critique and hate. And I personally feel that as fans, we can maybe dismiss the tactical sides of the game too much. And I think the tactical side is the most important side, because that's what paints the picture of the game. That's what explains to you why we look good, why we look bad, why certain players look good, and why certain players look bad. You know, it all plays a part, and tactics is what holds everything together. Tactics is literally the glue. I mean, why else do players train? I mean, what is the point of that if they aren't working on tactics on how to play in the system and how to counter your opposition for the following week? You know, it's important, and I feel like at times we need to accept and embrace that part of the game. Because for me, you guys, the most important reason as to why we lost the game today was not only because of individuals, but mainly due to the tactics. The tactics today wasn't great. I think as fans, immediately we can see that if we are going to use a wing-back system, I'm guessing you have to use Marcus Alonso as a left wing-back instead of Emerson. Maybe Lampard, who obviously works with these players every single day, he's going to have more insight than any of us could possibly imagine, because we don't know what's fully happening 100% of the time. Maybe Lampard thought Alonso needs a rest because we're playing so many games. Was he thinking of the game against Arsenal after this one? Who knows? But for me, the lineup today just wasn't the correct one. And I don't like it because it feels like we are wasting minutes in a game. You know, you only get 90 minutes to win a game. If you're wasting a whole half using a formation that clearly wasn't getting the best out of anyone and wasn't helping with things, then, you know, you force the team to have to react and have to force things in the second half. That's what happens. I'm trying to understand why the 3-4-3 was used. My immediate reaction is that Lampard's obviously thinking to use his system against Arsenal. He wants to build that tactical consistency. The more these guys play together, the more the confidence will be there. But the difference is in the opposition. You use different tactics and formations, you know, depending on the opposition you're playing against. Lampard is Mr. Adaptable himself. We saw that famously against Spurs just not too long ago. If you're playing against a team that is going to park the bus, use a low block, and isn't going to press high to win the ball, then having three at the back can be a bit counterproductive. Especially when you have Jorginho there as well. And it kind of feels like if you are going to have Jorginho, you know, you use a two-man midfield, he drops into the defensive line, and he makes that makeshift back three. That's how you progress the ball. That's how you move it. And I feel at times that teams just feel very comfortable defending against us. And this isn't a good thing, you guys. It looks very, very, very comfortable. At times, I don't see many teams really struggling or busting a gut or us forcing them in very dangerous situations. And the reason for this is because, number one, our shot selections tend to be very bad against low block teams. You know, we shoot from very poor areas, or as we tend to do every single time, overplay, overplay, overplay. Overplay every single time, looking for the perfect touch, the perfect timing to take a shot. And it gets me thinking, why is it like this? And I think maybe we have to accept, and I know this is the thing that no one likes, but could it be down to the limitation of the players currently? Remember, for a lot of these guys, it's their first season playing for us at this level as well. There are going to be learning curves. There are going to be areas in which you need to get educated. We cannot forget that this season is a massive education for every single young player. From your Pulisics to your Reeses, to your Tomoris, to Tammys, to all these guys. This was a massive year for their development. And if you consider that, it does make you feel, you know, can I be as angry and as frustrated with players that don't necessarily have all that experience just yet? I think so. With this team, we've seen that they do have the signs that they can be good enough for this level. I think we can all confidently say that. Against teams that open up and try to play football against us, that's when you can really see what we're about. And as we've seen this season, we can go toe-to-toe against any team. I thought we played better than Man City, and when you compare how other teams have played against them, like your Leicester Cities, for example, there was a clear difference in quality between how they approached the game and how we did. Now look at our games against Liverpool as well. We pushed them all the way. No team has done that. It tells us that we do have the players and the quality. But it's about the complete package. We need that overall complete package because, it's the Premier League. It's this high-end football. You're not going to play against teams every single week that are going to be naive and give you space to play in. These guys need to learn and they need to adapt very quickly to new demands. The demands of how to play in these situations in tight areas, learning how to take shots, a lot of these things. But I do think that Lampard can make all their lives easier if he gets the selections right at times. Now, I know I could be saying things with complete wrong context. As I said earlier, as a disclaimer, I don't know the full fitness history of the players at Lampard's disposal. Maybe there are reasons other than just tactics for why he makes certain personnel changes. But today, against a Southampton team that had no plans to press us, that were only caring about parking the bus, and my God, and at times I saw their entire team in their 18-yard box. Do you understand how ridiculous that is? How defensive that is. And from then on, very easy counter-attacks to get their goals. But of course, you guys, that doesn't mean that I can't critique some of the players' performances today. Of course not. All I'm doing is painting the full, honest picture of why things are happening how they are. And the main reason is the tactics. We need to learn when to use our system against certain opposition. But, I do need to critique some of the performances today. Now, of course, I do sympathise a bit with these two players in particular. That is going to be Emerson and Hudson-Odoi, purely for the fact that, they're playing in, a 3-4-3 setup. And it just felt like they were missing a man up front in midfield. Throughout this entire season, I've been seeing mostly Cover, or Mason Mount in the channels. You know those areas where you're linking up with the fullback and you're just behind the winger. That area there, we had no link up. And could this explain why we saw some sloppy play from Emerson today? He was making a lot of very risky passes that I haven't really seen him make this season. And this is why I'm thinking about the tactics, because we've all played football. When you're not as completely comfortable in a certain setup, you do tend to see certain mistakes like this. But regardless though, the lack of quality still can't be explained. The poor use of the ball in the final third, terrible crosses. I don't know what's happened to his crossing and delivery, but it's becoming Alonso levels. It's becoming that bad. Of course, it's not as easy and simple when you only have Tammy up front as your only outlet. Of course not. It's not going to be easy. But in general today, he just wasn't on the same level today. Wasn't good enough. And for Callum Hudson-Odoi as well, the lack of confidence. Again, tactically, this was not a game where wingers going to have a lot of space to run into. Not with how compact and deep Southampton's shape was. That was never going to happen. That's why we barely saw Willian doing that, or Hudson-Odoi. And when you look at the setup in the first half, you guys, with how Carroll and Willian had to move more in field to play closer to Tammy, well, of course, they're in a congested area. Southampton completely outmanned us centrally. What the hell was Callum and Willian really going to do? Absolutely nothing. And in the wing-back system, you're hoping that the wing-backs are going to bring that width and quality. But, we just don't have those options entirely. I've got faith in Emerson, but he needs a bit more time. Azpilicueta, we know that we're not going to get that end product. Very frustrating that Reece couldn't play. And, I'm always going to think, let's say Reece had started the game. Could things have been a bit different? You never know. But with better quality players in the final third, of course, you are going to make your own luck. So who knows what would have happened there. But you guys need to continue on. We move on to the second half now. And you know what? Lampard got things right. It was obvious that this team needed Mason Mount. Tammy needed someone to play close to. Cal and Willian had to stay out wide a bit. But they needed that number 10 in the middle to really just hold that area there. And of course, that allowed Emerson and Aspie to have more support out wide. Before in the first half, Emerson and Aspie were both isolated because that's what they're expected to do in a wing-back system. They need to provide that quality by themselves, and unfortunately, they're guys that prefer to be linking up with players around them. But regardless, you guys, at not one point in the second half did I really feel like we were really putting pressure on Southampton. I did not feel like we were really threatening. I did not feel like we really scared Southampton. And if anything, Southampton seemed to grow more in confidence as the game went on. And that's how you know that it's becoming too easy for teams. And it makes sense. Look at how we try to break teams down. Terrible, just the worst cutback crosses from out wide that never finds anyone, and when they do, the ball is bouncing around like crazy so much that whoever gets on the end of the ball can't even control it in the first place. You see players never taking any single shots. You see miscontrol. You see players getting easily outmuscled, and today, Tammy really did struggle in this area. But it's understandable. I mean, he was up front by himself against two Southampton defenders at all times. This is what's going to happen. But it gets me thinking, you guys, if we had started off using a back four system from the start, where we don't have to waste substitutions like taking off a centre back when having three was never needed in a game like this in the first place, what if Lampard had the possibility to bring on an extra attacking sub in the second half that could have influenced the game? I know it's all what ifs and what buts, but at this level, this is what managers do. They're all about the precautions. That's why you work on tactics. That's why you analyze your opponents. That's why you think of countermeasures and counter tactics. That's what the game's about. At this point, I personally feel like if we wanted to see improvements in these areas, I feel like we'd have to turn to the market. Now, that doesn't mean that these guys wouldn't get good eventually. It just means that if we want immediate quality, we would have to turn to the market to help us out for this period right now. And maybe we might have to do that. We need Champions League football for next season, you guys. If we don't get it, it's not only going to affect the money that we bring in, it's most importantly going to affect business we do in the summer window. This is the type of future planning that clubs are constantly thinking about every single time. And after a game like this, I would not be surprised if we signed an attacking player in the January window. It feels like we do need a bit of something, you guys. But on that note, it is very disappointing. I can't say I'm as disappointed as I wanted because I kind of felt like we had just lost this game a lot earlier. The 2-0 scoreline kind of deceives things a bit, but I thought this was very comfortable for Southampton, and that's the most disappointing thing, you guys. I'm curious what Lampard's going to say after the game. I'm curious what solutions he's going to find, but, if anything, he can help the team out a bit more by getting things right from the start. But of course, I still believe in the players. I'm thinking of the long term. I'm always going to be a long-term thinking guy. This is why I don't get too caught up in the moment, because that becomes history and then it becomes forgotten about. It's annoying, you guys, but these are the realities that we had to accept for a season like this. But on that note, I'm going to wrap things up, keep things moving. Thank you to everyone that wished me a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you guys' Christmas went sick. Mine was alright, I can't lie to you. The only disappointing thing was that I joined Links Club. Of course, I got Links Africa. Third year in a row now. When you're getting gifts like that, can I really be surprised for today's game? I don't think so. But you guys, I'm going to wrap things up, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.